Hi, I'm Tia from the challenge Unbothered, and recently Joe, Nadine, and I were lucky enough to interview Mr. Johnny Hickey. He's an acclaimed movie director, writer, producer, and actor. He does it all. But he also happens to be best friends with the current challenge champ, CT. Unfortunately, the first few minutes didn't record, so the interview jumps right in, where we discuss his movies, his love of horror, his sneaker obsession, and what other challenge stars he's friends with. He has agreed to do a Facebook Live with us in the future, which is amazing, and so we'll keep you guys posted on that and when that's happening. And so, with much love from the challenge Unbothered, we hope you guys enjoy the interview. Thanks. Bye.
And there's a 2.5 hour cut of OXYMorons where there's way more of that kind of horrific dream sequence style stuff that I did. And
like where the personal demons are like manifesting or whatever. Yeah,
all that stuff. So Habitual is like 90% of that, right? So Habitual is like full blown psychotic breaks, like that, that kind of like, wait, did I see that? Did I not? And it all kind of will come and make sense at some point. So that stuff's all from wanting to make more of a horror movie that also not only had that element of like psychological horror to it, and to deal with drugs, obviously, because that's kind of like my niche market, is to utilize whether it's a crime drama or a horror to attack, an epidemic that's like, a serious thing, killing so many people in this country. That I feel the part I played years ago, this is my redemption, is to make these films that showcase the collateral damage and maybe inspire or inspire someone to do good or deter them from make the wrong choices, And so when I get messages from people on Instagram or Facebook and they're like, hey, I watched either one of the movies or both of the movies and it's totally changed my way of thinking, dude, I can't do drugs. Like, it's like, I'm focused on getting my kids back now. Like all these stories, having one person do that is like life-changing, you know what I mean? To be able to do that with your art, never mind. Like, I have fistfuls, hundreds of people throughout time that it's changed their lives. And so that was like an important way to kind of do a horror film and still have that message creatively, which is kind of hard to do, obviously. But then also to answer your question, like give like, little pieces of like horror films that I've been inspired by. So when you see like the bone cracking stuff, like that is from like all the Exorcist kind of movies where the girl's like upside down and starts coming at you, cracking her neck.
The crab walk, yeah.
That freaks you out. And then even at the end, like one of the end kill scene, we obviously don't want to, spoil it for people that haven't seen it yet, but
correct.
The end kill scene's like kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock vibe, right? And there's tons of Stanley Kubrick in there and Saw. So it's like elements from all these different horror movies that I've loved. I've lived a crazy life and experienced some horrifying stuff just in real life. So like most horror movies don't scare me or anything like that, but I enjoy them. It was always an escape for me as a kid to like leave the projects and get away from all like the nightmares going on around me and go watch a horror movie to escape. So that's how I got into horror. But definitely the spiritual stuff has always kind of like freaked me out.
Yeah, I get that. I like your movie because it has a message, but it's not preachy. And is that hard to balance that? Where you're not just, hitting people over the head?
You're trying to, sorry, you're on, did it cut out for a minute? You're trying to.
Unbothered.
You're trying to, deliver a message, and you're trying to not do it in a campy way. And you're definitely if you're really trying to connect with like the younger audience, like the high school kids and stuff, you're definitely not trying to do it in a dare, like police officer friendly kind of way. So to do it, I had to really put on my thinking cap and psychological things that will get in your head, things that the movie's really in a way designed like you can watch it on different levels. Like if someone ever did watch this movie tripping on acid and mushrooms, it's going to horrify them. It's going to put them on a bad trip. And I know that if I was tripping and I watched that movie or a movie like that, probably make me never want to trip again. Right.
If anyone will do it, it'd be Nadine.
Just call me out. Thank you so much.
Reva?
I'll have to smoke blunts and watch it.
I'm safe with what I do in my house. Thank you.
I just got to stick to
But-
indica. That's my thing. I can't be smoking some sativa and be all in my head.
Sativa and habitual is definitely a cocktail for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying is like I'm like anti, the drugs that kill you and ruin your life. I'm not like, if that works for you, the sober cobra stuff, like good for you, like I bless you for that. But I'm not. Like I smoke, like I was blasted when I wrote Habitual. Clearly,
I hit 3 before this episode, so we good.
There you
We
go.
all we all in good company.
You
It's
you
true.
play crazy very well. So
For sure. I actually do have a question. So with Habitual and having watched it, it's obviously very realistic type of horror because it's not, it's because it's a psychological. And if you know anything about drugs and you know anything about what it can do to you or what it can do to people, it can be a very like horrifying reality that you absolutely could deal with. And with that script, how long did it take you from when you first came up with the idea for the movie? From that point, how long did it take you to actually complete it?
So I started writing Habitual as one film. It kind of merged over the course of a couple years. It kind of like shifted. There was like a rave movie. I basically took a few elements of a few different scripts I was working on and combined them into one story. And Habitual was this place that people would go to party. You know what I mean? It was like this kind of abandoned asylum, and it was in a bunch of it's in a few of my other screenplays, which is interesting that it's that environment is in a few of my other screenplays that aren't the Habitual ride. What I wrote for Habitual and what we shot and what you ultimately see on TV right now are 3 different movies completely. Especially when you're working with the cast that I'm working with, even though like a few of them obviously are used to television from being on MTV and all in reality shows and stuff like that. But like working with a lot of like kind of like people that haven't acted before and kind of creating one thing about my films is like nothing ever feels scripted. When you watch the people have the dialogue, like even in Habitual when they're at the card table and just them 4 are like doing the with Emily, you feel that they're really friends and they're really connected. Their body language is just so things change for me as you're filming, and I don't stay married to the screenplay. So like the screenplay Habitual versus what we have now is a whole process. And then you run into a situation where, you're trying to creatively deliver this movie and you got, one actress or actor, be it this position, Brittany, that it just didn't feel right. It just felt forced. It didn't blend with the chemistry of the other actors and actors. And so now you got to creatively figure out a way to rewrite a whole new sequence of things for the characters and one other character to fix this problem and reshoot, or pick up all these new scenes so that you can cut out 35 minutes of what you have, and that's what I had to do. So the process of Habitual, we went into it thinking it was going to be, a year from start to finish. And it turned out to be over 2 years, you know what I mean? From, till it was out and everything after that second shoot. So,
Nice.
I wasn't in a rush. Habitual for me is people are going to watch Habitual and not get it. I see some people watching, they're like, I don't understand it. It's all over the place. It's really, it's a layered film and it's a thinker. And, I put enough stuff in there so that if you can't kind of follow what's going on and you don't have that attention span to watch a hour and a half movie, that there's enough gore and stuff in there to keep you excited as a horror fan. But it's really, there are subliminal messages through the dialogue, little things that
like signs,
The graffiti on the wall.
the graffiti on the wall, the stuff that the daughter and CT are talking about in the scene in the kitchen about the mushroom. And it's just like weird little things that you go to think about. And by the time you start to like even think about it, you're in a whole other place. And I've watched Habitual so many times to really get that feel that I created where I never, the movie shifts where it starts off as like a crime drama. And by the time you get to the actual horror of the film,
It's at the end.
you're just there, and you don't even like remember how you got there.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I feel like a lot, and I shouldn't expect everybody to understand that, but like, like when you're tripping on drugs, like all of a sudden you're just there, and you're like, oh shit, how did I get here? And that's what happens with Habitual is you watch it and you get up and they're going into the asylum to the rave. And then before you know it, like just by watching them get lost in this environment, that's clearly like really cool, like, aesthetically pleasing place for a horror film, these real abandoned asylums. Then the horror comes in and you're just like, you're in it. And when I bring you into it, it's full force. It's the peak of the trip. It's like back-to-back kills, which no horror movie ever does. Every horror movie's like, kill somebody, a chase scene or whatever. This was like while he's killing her in this room, because he's everywhere and all their overdoses are going on simultaneously. So
dope. Well, we're gonna finish up here so you and Trunks can get some dinner. So I'm gonna do a question from each of us. So, I see you. All right.
Good dinner.
Yeah, right before dinner. So why don't you tell everybody about your project with Trunks and what shoes you're rocking tonight?
Me? I'm rocking these bad boys.
All right, I see him.
Just got these off Goat. I had these a long time, and this is.
And what you got, Trunks? All right.
Currently rocking the Omniac Air Force Ones.
I like those.
Nice.
This is a 101. So
nice 101s, baby. Love to see it. And why don't you tell us about your project with Trunks?
Oh, Trunks? We got a bunch of things going on.
Honestly, we have a lot of things going on. So I'm currently on my own docu-series about myself. I was born in Vietnam and I was raised in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and then I flew to Florida, and that's where I met my close friend Triple X Tentacion, and from there my career just skyrocketed from there. I was gonna say, if you guys ever would like me on your podcast, I would.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll reach out. We appreciate you. All right, Tia, go ahead.
Nadine, did you have a question?
What happened?
Oh, what, for the rapid fire questions?
No, go ahead. Do you have any questions? No?
I did, yeah. Okay, so sorry. I was like thrown off with the shoes thing.
Don't rush out unless you guys got to rush out. We got a few minutes. We're good. We're good. We're not trying to tap out.
If you could collaborate with one person, whether they were director, actor, screenwriter, whomever, who would you choose? They can be dead or alive.
Stephen King.
Nice.
Oh, good choice. Great choice.
Stanley Kubrick. Fantastic. If they didn't kill him.
Oh man.
Nice.
What a
Those are good choices.
I'll give you a quick little cool story since that question was asked and Stephen King was the answer. So pandemic last year, it's brutal for all of us. I was in Maine. I ended up going to Maine and stayed at a place up in Clifton, Maine. For the bulk of the original quarantine, I went up and I hid out up there at a place that I had a gym on deck and stuff. And was just like laying low because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. April comes around and we all kind of know where we're at. So weird, but like nothing's open. It's my birthday's in April. April 19th, got a day, I always say, so I got a minute. So I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do on my birthday just to like not feel like I'm just trapped in a cabin in the woods? Great, we're all healthy and safe and everything, but like, it's my birthday. I want to go and do something, right? So I had some good bud and I ended up going to Bangor to Stephen King's house. And which is his house is like a museum outside, like of crazy fence with like bat-shaped things, and I smoked a blunt outside Stephen King's house. That was my crazy birthday story. But that was because it was just inspiring. Me watching all those horror movies where where did you ask me like where did I come up with Habitual? Where did he come up with I was writing a screenplay is 100 pages. A movie's only 100 pages, which a lot of people don't realize. This Stephen King wrote 500-page, 1,000-page novels of like just so out there horror, just so like.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, what's my favorite horror movie? Habitual. I know that's like people say what's your favorite movie? OXYMorons, obviously right off the rip. I guess if The Shining is really probably one of my biggest inspiration horror movies, I would say. And then Night of the Demons, which is like so cult, but that was like the thing when I was, I'm going back to when I was younger and like what, I could say a million different movies now that people would know, but like Night of the Demons, Night of the Demons 2, those are the ones that like I sat home and watched 1,000 times. And the first horror movie I ever seen was Children of the Corn. That was the first horror movie I ever seen was Children of the Corn. So a lot of my early on like childhood horror was Stephen King anyways, which was like the big horror back then, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My mom loves Stephen King. I was raised on his novels and all of his movies. I would make her watch it with me and she'd have nightmares.
Super dope.
So with The Shining, the reason why The Shining is my favorite play is it's a Stephen King thought, obviously, and then it's finished by Stanley Kubrick, who obviously finished it out in a way that nobody else could ever do it. Even saying there was two high IQ creative minds like hitting head to head there, where Stephen King sold the rights and Stanley Kubrick had it in his court. So, but what you got as a viewer out of that is like that mix, that combo cocktail of them two. Nothing like that has ever happened since that I can even think of.
It's one of those instances where the movie to me is better than the book. So.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's why when you said like, who would I love to collab with? Stephen King. There's so many books and like ideas I have of his that I would love to do. But one of the things I always like, if I was to wanted to remake something, and remakes are always like, don't remake it, leave it the original. But like one of the things, and it's a John Carpenter thing that They Live. Remember They Live?
Mm-hmm.
That movie was so ahead of its time. And now in today's world, the way we think and the way like you just don't know.
Obey.
Yeah, obey. Yeah, the symbolism of that and everything. For sure.
That's a great movie. I need to watch that again. It's been a while.
That's a good one.
I don't know if you guys need to get out of here or whatever. We were going to do kind of like a lightning round, just 5 questions, answer off the top of your head.
Let's pop it.
All right. So, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
No! Wrong answer.
I'll eat that shit on there.
I like pineapple. See, I gotta say yes right now because pineapple has what's the chemical they were telling me is in it? The nutrient, whatever. It's a high immune. It's a high immune builder. It's like a military use pineapple. It's a big immune like builder or whatever. I forget what it's called that's in it. My friend was talking about it. So I've been eating pineapple on everything lately. Even typically I wouldn't have it on pizza, but right now I'll do pineapple on anything. All right, next question.
You have to listen to one band every day for a year. Who do you pick?
Queen.
Oh.
Not Queen for me. Marilyn Manson.
Wow, okay.
The band. But he's a band.
I like both.
He's a sick fuck.
Yeah, I can listen to his shit though. His shit gets me going.
Yeah. And he loves this.
I love Marilyn Manson always because he was so extreme and so fucking weird and fucking out there, and even did things that I was even like, what the fuck? But he built such a following.
Yeah.
People that aren't
he
even
was
that.
so creepy and jawbreaker.
He's something else. But I watch a lot of their old like live performances and stuff. Just to, like it amazes me what they would get away with back then on stage.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one?
If you could be any horror movie character, who would you be?
Ooh, any horror movie character? Michael Myers.
Okay.
Just walk around endlessly fucking cutting people.
Just chop them off.
Yes, you never die.
Nobody and still be so mysterious that nobody knows why you can't. Like, we know why Freddy Krueger's who he is. We know why Jason Voorhees who he is. No one really knows about Michael Myers and why he can like get shot in the fucking head, blown up, and come back and kill you. And he's just the baddest motherfucker. He's had more reoccurring like fucking, sequel spinoffs, whatever, than anybody, I think. So
And he stays clean through it all.
he does stay clean.
Nice.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. On the set of Habitual, we experienced some stuff. No bullshit.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, because you guys filmed in an actual old asylum, didn't you?
Yeah.
I bet that was haunted as hell.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about the locations that you used because they were incredible.
Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'm good.
So, first night there was we filmed in what was called the Westboro State Hospital. The original state hospital was built early 1900s, 13 buildings in Westboro, Massachusetts. After we were done filming, they tore them down and they're putting up condominiums, which is fucking out there.
Wow.
But the cool thing about that is we're the last thing to like showcase that place. Like, so that place lives on through Habitual, which is very unique. First night in there, we're up on the second floor, probably like 1 a.m, maybe 2 a.m, pitch black, trying to go in and spot locations and bring in generator wires and stuff because we're gonna have to run power through the windows and all this shit. And I remember we had the respirator masks on, the asbestos, because we cut through rooms that may have asbestos. So we would also have to go around and find the rooms and the stairwells that didn't have asbestos, didn't have the tiling or the piping, that were more like cement, wood. And so we shot in all those places that were kind of asbestos free. Doing that, we wear these masks, so we talk through the mask, so that your voice was really muffled through those, those respirator masks. And we heard a woman talking as clear as day, and she sounded like she was right above us in the ceiling. And I have never really, before that, I've had like some feelings, and I definitely lived in an apartment that was haunted a few years ago. But other than that, I never heard voices. Like, I never heard a voice that wasn't there fucking talking to us. And she wasn't like scary. It sounded like she was talking to like a third party. It was like, hey, check out what these guys are doing. Like, look, what are they doing over here?
Gosh.
But my DP, the kid Ross that worked on OXYMorons as well, like looked at me and his eyes were like jumping out of his head. And I was like, dude, it's 1 a.m. We're in an abandoned lunatic asylum. We're going to hear shit. We're going to see shit. Let's fucking make a movie. And then that was it. We didn't see anything else in there again. But then there were certain rooms, the room where Chris kills Emily in the tub, in the hydrotherapy tub. Whenever we were filming in that particular room, trying to get that scene done, all hell would break loose. People would just start arguing, like the energy. So not necessarily like a ghost in that room, but the energy was so crippling in that room that it just caused a bunch of chaos consistently, to the point where like we got that one shot done that we need to do, we got out of there. We never went back to that room.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe in ghosts.
Like when that guy walked up and the floor was just gone, was it dangerous? I mean,
like the floor that had like the holes in it. I mean, I'll tell you what, people don't. I mean, you guys know, because you guys are fans of the challenge, obviously. But Chris was doing some crazy shit where he crawled down to the bottom of this pit. This scene didn't even make it into the movie, and he crawled into this pit that, if you know the shot of the asylum where there's the hole in the ceiling, like the roof, and it's collapsed all the way down into the ground underneath the asylum. And Chris was like crawling down in this pit of like cell doors and wheelchairs, and like just basically 3 floors of the asylum collapsed into this bottomless pit. It looked like it would go to hell. And Chris would climb down in that thing. He'd like do all the stunts that he did. That was all real. Like, so we didn't use any trapeze stuff, jumping through those doors. And when he would jump through those doors and knock that kid through the door, who's a stunt guy, and that wooden door, and Chris would, all 230 pounds or whatever he weighed at the time, would come crashing down the floor, that building would shake. And I'd be Chris is gonna knock half the building down.
We've all been following Chris for a long time. We know he's been banging heads for a long time.
But people don't realize about Chris. I mean, you do if you're a fan of his, and you just like but people are. The kid has like some superhuman strength. Like in the
We know.
movie, he's dragging people in the movie with one hand. He's dragging grown men down the hallway, wraps his hand around their shirt in a way that he doesn't hurt them, and drags them down the hallway. He picked that kid Robbie up in the movie, the Asian kid,
Yeah.
and throws him off the wall. Like, and the kid had a back brace on to protect him, but there was no mats or anything. And Chris like lifted him off the ground and threw him off the wall. You know, like he did some crazy stuff. And like within that building, it was dangerous in some places. Like we were careful, but we didn't have the safety of like knowing like that the building was sound. The building definitely was not like, it was like use at your own risk deal we got with the town to even shoot in there.
Wow. Did you know he was going to be a good actor though, or did you just think he might be?
Chris has been super passionate about acting for a while, and he's been approached by actually some like bigger like name directors and studios, but he really wasn't like, he did like the Kroll Show and like something with Jordan Peele, you know, like little segment stuff, but he wanted to really like, he knew he could get comfortable with me. And I know if I know you and you want to act, I know that I can make you look good and I can get you to do what you need to do to you know what I mean, to feel like a good actor, and for the chemistry to feel right between you and whoever you're acting with. And that goes for people that have never been on camera before. Chris has been on camera for so long that it's like second nature to him. And you know, scene with the little girl that plays his daughter, my daughter in real life. She was Flower Girl's wedding show. So for him to be like play dad with her was really easy, and their chemistry just was flawless because they know each other and there is like kind of a love there. That's and awesome. Then the stuff with me and him, like in the asylum, when we're going back and forth, and I mean it's more me probably delivering majority of the dialogue, but he's kind of going off of me. That was all improv. There was no script there. We put that scene in. It was like, all right, this is what's going on. You're coming to visit me. I'm your friend. You know, I've been locked up in this mental institution for how long? You don't want to give up on me because there's some like connection from when we were kids, and you got to just deal with my insanity. And so he just comes in off the elevator, sits down, and we go.
Nice.
And just so, and, you know, so I had Chris. I didn't just put, you know, Chris in because, oh, he's on MTV and, you know, he's got a fan base. I mean, that stuff's great. And that obviously helps our project and everything to have your childhood best friend, you know, be on a show for so long, be a household name on MTV and have, but overall it was something that me and him, you know, looking back to when we were kids and throughout like, you know, the ups and downs of when he was on TV and I was being a mental case of like a dream that we had that we wanted to do. And we were always said we were going to do something, and shit was going on when I did OXYMorons for him that he couldn't be in OXYMorons. David was in it. And it was just really like, it was super important for us to finally do this together. So I always, believed in him because it was part of my dream to like make a movie with my best friend, you know? And he does, he has a natural ability to act, for sure.
Well, David was amazing in OXYMorons. I was really impressed with him. David, I will say there was a scene in it, and I was like, are they even speaking English? I could not understand you guys.
That's what had people say that all the time. When me and Chris did Boston Sports with Dave Portnoy, like me and Chris were saying stuff to each other, and we even talked about David at one point. But the slang I guess we use is probably the best way to put it. And the dial, like the way we go off of each other, tied in with the Boston accent, tied in with Chris's mumble, like Dave Portnoy had no idea. He was like looking at us like, what the fuck are they even talking about right now? We're just kind of laughing at it though at the same time. But yeah, that does happen. I've been told that before.
Well, you saying that you can bring out acting like in people or whatever brings me to my last question. Can I be an extra in your next movie?
Sure, why not?
Yay!
Same. Never film in Baltimore, just call me. I'm only an 8-hour drive from Boston.
You might have to walk into an abandoned state hospital that has asbestos and the ceiling's collapsing, but you know.
I
do that.
Love to do that.
I do that for ghost hunting, so I don't care.
You go ghost hunting? You do that?
Yes, I've been to Gettysburg multiple times. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Do you any of you guys play that game Hunt a Killer?
Mm-mm.
No, it's a subscription
I
game.
have before.
I was the original face of that game. I was in the commercial. It's me. I'm the serial killer on the commercial for that a couple years ago.
I wondered why you looked familiar, and I was like, I feel like I've seen this face before, and now I know.
If you've seen the Hunt a Killer commercial, which a lot of people, if you watch any of that true crime stuff, that commercial was an ad, but I don't talk in it. It's like a voiceover, and it's just me walking up to the camera looking like a lunatic with my pants rolled up and a butcher knife in my hand. But that was me. So I have this kind of connection to a lot of people that know me from that, to kind of dial into the people that are already tied to true crime, horror, and ghost hunting. And one of the kids that worked on my production, this kid Keith, he worked on Ghost Adventurers. So he did a lot of that stuff. Yeah. EVP,
Cool.
and all that. Yeah. Very interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, I got all that stuff.
Beautiful. Well, Johnny, I'm gonna set up a Q&A with our members so that way they can go live with them one night and they can shoot some stuff off to you if you don't mind spending some time with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm all about networking with people, and yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. Anybody else have anything else?
No, this was amazing. Thank you for talking to us.
Yes, thank you so much for taking time with us.
Yeah, thank you for taking interest in the movie and what I got going on. I'm super grateful, obviously, for you guys that have dialed into the challenge stuff and to kind of accept the movie. And a lot of the that group is you guys are you guys are tight. I love that about you, the cult kind of support,
Yep.
That's my filmmaking, isn't, you know what I mean? It's not a big studio. Did it really?
Yeah, we'll go somewhere
All right,
else.
we'll go somewhere else. All right, our restaurant closed. It's all good though.
Another story, so the podcast can be longer. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'll hit you up as well, Trunks.
All right,
I
brother.
would sit and talk about horror movies all day long if you let me. So
Yeah, we could always do it again. We could always get on again and do another one, whatever you guys want to do.
Sounds good. We wanted to give you take the time to talk to people in our group, and we built that group from nothing to where it is today. So
I love it.
Giving them this is going to be really good.
And it's when I think for a lot of people too, it's when I talk or when I commit on something, it's like a piece of Chris a little bit, you know what I mean? Because me and him are so I can vouch for anything via Chris, he just for his own, he stays off of most of the stuff, especially right now. We know.
yeah.
It's gonna clean up, I think, but right now it's the hot seat.
People will forget in 2 weeks. It's okay. Just like he said on the episode, they'll forget about it in a few days.
Well, that's the thing. Do you guys want to touch on that for a minute? It's come on,
I'm fighting a good fight, man.
Everybody that's shitting on him right now, listen. This is someone who's been a loyal player on this show for a really long time. Has had fan base and people who love him for the reasons they love him. The other cast members tried to fuck him right off the rip.
Correct.
Out.
It
completely backfired, and he didn't forget. And he's there. There's a Chris that's there to just be there, and then just kind of you could tell the last season with the kid Jay, Chris would have smoked that kid in the tie and the knots thing. He just didn't want to be. He had his own stuff going on at home. He was in. It was a shitty location, and he wasn't hungry enough. He just wasn't mentally there. He took a real, thinker after that and was I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to go on the next one to fucking play, give it my all and really get into it. And I got for that. And, we got these jokes we'll say to each other and it'll be oh, take your shirt off. You know what I mean? Whenever we're saying we're going, what are you doing? I'm going to grab, eat, take your shirt off. Put your mind, get in shape, if you can go to the beach kind of attitude to be on the show. And he did that. I mean, he lost a ton of weight, got back. He's there to win. They try to take him out. And now he's playing a rule that not for nothing, they script that into the show, that you can get rid of your partner and take somebody else. And he does that. Right. That people get at him for. He even if Big T was as good as Cam, right? Or close, like wasn't that bad of a player, and maybe, you know, could go to the final, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
Politically, for Chris to take Cam blocks that other alliance from coming at him anymore. There's now Leroy.
Correct. He saves himself.
Yeah, it's a genius move. You can't, you know, the way he went about it, people say that was, I know Chris, that was just, that means that he thought about that move all day, all night, before he won and then after he won. What am I going to do? And when he made the snap decision in his head to pick Cam, that's just how it came out. Because it was just like, fuck.
Right.
That's what I said on our podcast. I think he was just so super jazzed that he won. He was just like, Cam, you know?
Jazzed that he won, and he was fighting in his head the whole time on if that was the right move to make to get. And so instead of just being like, hey, I'm going to get rid, he was just like, fuck it. Like, let's go.
Right.
We're going for this. Right. So
do you watch it every Wednesday?
I do. Like, I have to, because it's like,
fuck yes.
My best friend, my best friend's on the fucking show. Like,
Oh yeah.
every Wednesday, I fucking plug that in. If I wasn't putting a email to watch it free on MTV, because when I'm out in the car and I'm not home or whatever, I'll throw it on my phone and people be like, "What are you watching?" I'll be like, "The Challenge," and like certain people look at me that don't really get it. Like I was with a group of people that like had no idea that I know, and they're like, "Dude, why is this dude?" And I'm like, my best friend's on the fucking show. Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
He sounds just like me, obviously.
And I'm friends with, and I've become friends with a lot of the other cast members too. Leroy's a friend of mine, you know.
We love Leroy.
Yeah, you know, and to watch Leroy play in a different.
I love Leroy.
And Darrell's, they're all playing different games than they typically play.
We drag the fuck out of haters. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck either. I mean, laugh at it because it's like whatever.
Some people are just ridiculous.
There's always, you're always gonna have those people, no matter what the move is, or no matter what the people are making, or who's winning or losing or whatever. That just, it doesn't matter. But I've become cool with a lot of them, so I enjoy watching it. You know, I enjoy watching it. You know, if Chris leaves or whatever, because I'm like, all right, now who's next in line to have my vote? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who am I? Because that I like that person as a friend, you know, whether they were at, you know, someone I got really tight with through Chris, or just like, even like, you know, when I go to Vegas, I hang with Leroy all the time and stuff. So
have you ever met Cara?
So Cara's from Massachusetts also.
Yep.
And years ago, right around OXYMorons time, I got into a big fight in a hotel after party that Emily was at and Cara was at.
Oh,
was
nice.
like in Kid Greg Avila, who was like he was on a VH1 show or something, Bad Girls, I forget. It was just like a bunch of reality stars at this after party because the club venue paid us all to come do like appearances. So they like paid us like whatever, a couple $100. We all sat at the same table and drank free booze and like made the club look cool, whatever that thing was that we used to do, right? I got caught up in that so long. But so Cara was there, we were at the after party, and some argument happened that me and Cara ended up kind of like exchanging words about like talking about like pet snakes versus kids. It was like the dumbest thing. But whoever one of the guys was with her at the time was like, thought he was a tough guy, and it like turned into a straight brawl where I knocked somebody out, another kid got choked out in the hallway, and me and Cara hated each other. And I would be in New York all the time with Chris at the reunion shows before pre-COVID. So I was at all reunion shows that Chris was on. Every time I go out and party with everybody, I'd be there. You know, I know people at MTV and stuff too, so I had access with other friends and stuff. So I'd always be out there for those. And Cara would be at a lot of them. And it'd be this awkward thing where I'd walk into the green room where nobody is but cast members, and then I'd be in there, and she'd always look like, oh man, like all the way up until Chris's wedding. You know, she came to the wedding, and me and her made peace there. You know, we had a really good conversation because years had gone by, and it really wasn't anything between me and her, but the animosity was from this like stupid juvenile like thing that happened. And me and her actually had a really cool like adult conversation and became friends again. You know, like became cool anyway. So I have met Cara, and I like her now because of that. You know,
she's my all-time favorite. and they're gonna say I had to mention her in this interview. So there you go.
Good job.
Me, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, she's another one who, like, if you look at who she was when she started and what she's become, and, you know, just even the physicality of it, of like her workouts and like the shape she got in, and like to becoming like such a dominant player, you got to give it. You can't. I said that when like I had like a, you know, cold shoulder to her for like ignorant reasons that I shouldn't have even had, but I would want and be like, oh man, she did really come up, you know, and she has. I was friends with Jordan for a while. We were pretty tight. We're not as tight as we used to be. That's just Jordan. Yeah. But we were, you know, we were pretty tight in LA, trying to do a lot of stuff. I was going to originally was going to direct a movie that him and his friend wrote. And that was kind of the falling out, is that production just couldn't go we couldn't see eye to eye on that. But we're still cool. Derek Kaczynski is like
cool.
He supports Habitual and OXYMorons more than like.
Yes, he does.
More than my friends that are in it, you know, like he's.
Yeah, you and CT did an interview on Challenge Mania about it, didn't you? I listened to most of it.
We did one back in November. We did one on the release night of Habitual when we were down in Florida. Yeah, so Chris just came back from the show, and we went on there live with Derek. I don't remember. We were drinking that night, so like. It was like podcast, like, or I don't know what. I think Chris disappeared halfway through it, and like I don't even know. Yeah. But Derek and his co-host, the kid Scott, super supportive. I can't get even, you know, TJ Lavin shares my stuff, and I've met TJ a few times, but even for him just to like take the time always to like share it, like it. Mark Long is another one. You know, before this OG thing took off, me and him started talking, and he was, so a lot of the other guys, like, they don't even like know me before Chris or whatever. And so a lot of it obviously has to do with the weight of, I'm Chris's best friend, and people know that now, and Chris has mad respect. But a lot of them have just like, outside of even like talking to Chris all the time, have connected with me and just become mega supportive of like the movie and like the stuff I'm doing in my career and stuff, which is dope.
Well, your movies are good. That's why.
I appreciate that. I do, you know, I really do, because people don't realize it's like, I don't have a studio behind me right now, big, you know, Paramount or whatever. It's really me and my team. And it takes a lot to make a movie. It does. Never mind to make a film that actually like changes people, you know, and kind of like makes a difference, hopefully, in people's lives.
Yep. Your fans will really love this.
Absolutely.
All
right, well, I'm good, guys. Anybody else have anything?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, definitely.
Get them in now before we go.
No, we good.
This was fantastic. We're gonna drop your like your IG and your Facebook and everything at the end, so people who watch this can definitely give you a follow. And we just appreciate you being part of our group and just like interacting with us and stuff, and taking the time, you and Trunks taking the time out of your evening and your restaurant closing in the interim, so sacrificing some food in order to talk with us. So I definitely appreciate it.
No, the big thing with me and like everybody that Trunks and even Chris has come so far in this because of me. I think a lot because of me, like getting in his head with stuff is being humble. You know, being humble to supporters and you because without people that support you and that are your fans and like get behind your work and stuff, you're nothing really, right? So as long as it's not to a weird point where people like, you know, you get the weird people that are like overly whatever, but always like try to be a part of it. No matter how big my films get, I'm always gonna do like things like this, and it doesn't always have to be some big like, you know, high number, you know, group of pockets. Like I'm game. Like if you got 3 people that are supporting me and what I'm doing, let's talk. Let's get it out there for sure.
All right, fellas, bless up. Have a good evening, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.